The banned book is the punitive arm of the cultural state. It terrorizes the population into conforming to the dominant taste, which makes the taste seem natural, inevitable. This is what Bourdieu called symbolic violence. Power so effective it disguises itself as the way things just are. The mathletes, the Asian nerds, the girls who eat their feelings, they're made to feel their exclusion is their own fault, a failure to grasp self-evident rules, not just the result of a violently enforced construct.
What's the first thing you think of when you enter a new class at a new high school?
Trick question, because on top of the nerves, the lack of safety, you're instinctively mapping the jocks, the nerds, the theater kids, and the plastics. A primal lesson in social cartography. It is a public declaration, a territorial marker in a network of relentless mutual surveillance. We frame this as an adolescent drama, a phase we outgrow. But what if we're wrong? What if we never left that cafeteria, we just upgraded it? Look at our digital rituals. The annual frenzy of Spotify Wrapped, it's sold as a fun personal recap, but we treat it as a verdict, a shareable credential for our inner selves. This isn't just nostalgia or marketing. This is the high school cafeteria translated into code. Your seat isn't chosen. It's assigned by data. So how do we navigate this? If the old maps of cool and uncool have just gone algorithmic, what are the new rules? From the static hierarchies of mean girls to the data-hacked identities of Do Revenge, something fundamental has shifted. This video is about tracing that shift. It's about how the ancient, terrifying game of social survival learned to wear a digital mask, and why, in trying so hard to prove we're not basic, we might all be following the same script.
Part 1. The Currency of Cool.
The social universe of Mean Girls isn't just a funny high school movie. It's a documentary, a meticulously researched pink-colored ethnographic of a system. And I'm not talking about the American school system. I'm talking about the ancient, brutal, and perfectly logical system of social hierarchy. Think about that first shot of the North Shore High cafeteria. It's not a lunchroom, it's a geopolitical map. The borders are fixed, the functions are armed, and the rules of engagement are governed by one supreme currency. Not money, not even popularity exactly. It's taste. What you wear, what you say, and who you're seen with in this arena, these aren't personal choices. They are public declarations of cultural allegiance, and they are enforced with the terrifying efficiency of a police state. To understand our modern digital hellscape of algorithmic identity, we have to start here. In this analog Panopticon where the walls were made of cinder block and the surveillance tool was a Lisa Frank binder, this is the classic hierarchy, and it runs on two engines: the economy of cool and the architecture of fear. The master theorist for understanding this economy is a French sociologist named Pierre Bourdieu.
Now stick with me because Bourdieu is basically the Karl Marx of why you feel poor at a designer boutique.
Bourdieu's big idea was that our taste for music, art, fashion, and even food are almost never just ours. They are our social fingerprints. We absorb them from our family, our class, our surroundings, forming what he called a habitus,
A set of deeply ingrained, often unconscious preferences and dispositions that feel natural to us, but actually broadcast our social coordinates to the world.
As Bourdieu puts it,
taste classifies, and it classifies the classifier.
Your choices are a public ranking system, and you're both the judge and the thing being judged. North Shore High is a pristine petri dish example of a Bourdieuian field, a social arena with its own rules, its own stakes, and its own currency. Here, the currency is cultural capital, and the Federal Reserve of North Shore's cultural capital is the plastics table. Regina George isn't just pretty and mean, she's the central bank governor of taste. Every arbitrary rule she issues is a piece of monetary policy.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
That is not a suggestion, it's a bond insurance. Adhering to it proves you're the currency.
Using their sled that's so fetch.
It's like knowing a secret handshake at an exclusive club. It's embodied cultural capital.
The knowledge, the manners, the vibe, worn on your body and dripping off your tongue.
These rules are arbitrary by design. The point isn't that pink is objectively superior. The point is that their decree is law. Following an arbitrary rule you didn't make is the purest form of submission. It proves you recognize their sovereignty. Katie's journey is sort of like a lab experiment in acquiring the capital. She's the outsider, the homeschooled anthropologist. Her initial literal interpretations of plastic discourse is a habituous clash. She lacks the ingrained taken for granted knowledge that is social competence in this field. Her training with Gretchen isn't about becoming popular, it's a brutal crash course in a new habituous. She learns to calibrate her laugh, to perform dietary restrictions, to understand that a hairstyle is a hierarchical manifesto. This is cultural capital being accumulated. She's not just getting the right clothes, she's trying to rewire her nervous system to be plastic. And let's not forget the subtle cracks in their monarchy. Regina's family is new money.
Her mom is a desperate wine cooler-fueled ghost of coolness.
Their mansion is monstrously garish. Their capital is recent and therefore unstable.
It's maintained not by effortless old money assurance, but by aggressive rigid enforcement.
And then there's Gretchen. Her capital is contingent on loan from Regina. She's the walking embodiment of social anxiety, a middle manager terrified of a performance review that could happen at any second. She holds her cultural capital in trembling hands, knowing it can be repossessed with a single glance. She doesn't just obey the rules, she feverishly polices them, because the system is all she has. But an economy needs a justice system. You can't just have a currency, you need a way to punish counterfeiters and jail dissenters. If Bourdieu explained the economy of North Shore, Foucault explains its prison, and the warden's tool isn't a nightstick, it's a scrapbook. In his book Discipline and Punish, Foucault analyzed a revolutionary prison design called the Panopticon. Imagine a secular prison with a central guard tower. The inmates in their cells are backlit, perfectly visible to the guard, but they can't see into the tower. They never know if they're being watched right now. The genius is this: constant surveillance isn't needed. The architecture itself creates a state of conscious and permanent visibility. The uncertainty, the possibility of the gaze leads inmates to internalize it. They start policing themselves. Foucault writes,
He who is subjected to a field of visibility assumes responsibility for the constraints of power. He makes them play spontaneously upon himself.
power becomes automatic, cheap, efficient. The burn book is North Shore's Panoptic Tower. Its power doesn't come from it being constantly used. It's hidden under Regina's bed for most of the film. Its power comes from the legend, the threat. It represents the potential for any transgression to be permanently recorded and published. It makes every student a potential data point. It renders the entire school consciously and permanently visible. This is why writing in it is a sacred ritual act for the plastics. They aren't just gossiping. They are inscribing the official record. They are wielding the state's pen. Look at the effect this has. Gretchen Wiener is the perfect panoptic subject. She doesn't need Regina watching her every second. She has internalized her gaze. She audits her own speech for word vomit. She seeks constant validation. Her identity is a performance reviewed by an internalized Regina.
The tower is in her head, and is in everyone's head.
Students avoid certain clothes, certain people, not because they've been punished before, but because they might be. The social order is maintained not by Regina's omnipresent eyes, but by the low-grade humming anxiety her system produces in everyone. And here's the brutal synthesis. The banned book doesn't enforce just any rules, it specifically polices the boundaries of plastic's cultural capital. Its entries are catalogued failures of taste and class,
She made out with a hot dog.
a failure of bodily dignity,
She has freakishly large paws.
a failure of aesthetic perfection,
She's a scab picker.
a failure of bodily control. The banned book is the punitive arm of the cultural state. It terrorizes the population into conforming to the dominant taste, which makes the taste seem natural, inevitable. This is what Bourdieu called symbolic violence.
Power so effective it disguises itself as the way things just are.
The mathletes, the Asian nerds,
The girls who eat their feelings.
they're made to feel their exclusion is their own fault. A failure to grasp self-evident rules, not just the result of a violently enforced construct. And this is why the system's collapse is so catastrophic. When the banned book is leaked, it's not just gossip getting out, it's the raw data dump of the panoptic state. The central tower's secret ledger is exposed. Visibility becomes reciprocal, chaotic. Everyone is both inmate and guard. The disciplinary mechanism short circuits. The forced apology assembly is sort of a desperate institutional attempt to move from the broken panoptic discipline to a more gentler therapeutic control, which Foucault would tell us is just the latest upgrade in the software of power. So what do we learn from the ruins of North Shore? We learn that hierarchy is a dual system engine. an economy of capital fueled by an architecture of fear. Taste is the currency, surveillance is the law. Katie's final act, dismantling the crown and giving the pieces back, is sort of a symbolic move. It's an attempt to decentralize the capital, to reject the singular currency. It's a sweet idea, but the film is smarter than that. It knows that the system is bigger than Regina. The cafeteria map still exists, the seats are still assigned. The game doesn't end, it just reboots.
Part 2. The performance.
The surveillance didn't end, it just got quieter, more efficient, and it traded that liturgical pen for something far more powerful, an algorithm. The anxiety of being written out by Regina George has evolved into the anxiety of being wrapped up by Spotify. And to understand this, we need to leave the cafeteria for a moment. We need to step into a different kind of social machinery, the theater. Our guide for this part is a mid-century sociologist named Erving Goffman, and his theory was this:
Life is not lived, it is performed.
In his book, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life, Goffman said we are all actors on a stage. We are constantly managing impressions, wearing costumes, reading lines for an audience. He gave us the language for this, the front stage. This is the performance. It's your job interview, your Instagram feed, your first day charm. It has 3 parts: the setting,
The scenery, an office, a fancy restaurant, or a perfectly curated profile grid.
the appearance,
The costume, the suit, the makeup, the accessories that scream competent or cool or approachable.
the manner,
The vibe, the confident tone, practiced love, the way you hold yourself.
the backstage. This is the green room, where the actor drops the act, where you let the mask slip. It's where you're unobserved, uncurated.
Real,
It's where you pick your nose, have a private meltdown.
or belt out when we were young by Adele.
For millennia, music was a sacred backstage activity. It was the sound of your private heart. You could sob to a sad song in the shower, then rage to a metal album in the car, then play the dung pop song you loved at 14 while doing the dishes. It was messy, contradictory, beautifully human. Spotify rapped, banned down the green room. It took a year of your most private backstage moments, your 2 a.m. insomnia listens, your dream rage streams, your secret childhood nostalgia binges, and built a front stage premiere out of them. Goffman's components transformed by code. The setting,
It's no longer your messy bedroom. It's the sleek candy-colored motion-designed digital card.
the appearance,
It's no longer your clothes. It's your top 5 artists lined up like luxury bags.
the manner,
This is the masterstroke. It's the algorithmic personality they assign you. And this year, they didn't just give you a label. They gave you a scripted identity. A pre-written character to play.
Look at these. These aren't insides. They are branded costumes. Cloud State Society.
Your club finds peace through music. New members are gifted houseplants. Your script is curated calm. You're performing serenity. Your data must project zen. No angry punk rock spikes in December.
Great Collective.
Your club believes in rebellion through music. There's no rulebook. The performance of a rebellious nonconformity handed to you by a multinational corporation. The ultimate paradox.
Club Serotonin.
Your club thrives on good vibes. Members insist on natural lighting. You're now acting in a play called Happiness the Musical. The soundtrack is audited for luminance. Was your autumn too sonically grey? The algorithm is watching your vibes.
Full Charge Crew.
Your club is committed to the endless party. Club events are high energy, zero chill. The role of the extrovert. Your data must scream main character energy, even if the stream happened while you were alone, deep in a Wikipedia hole.
Cosmic Stereo Club.
Your club transverses terrestrial barriers with music. Clubhouse setting is entirely beanbags. You're performing eclectic intellectualism. You're not just listening, you're transversing barriers. It's a PhD in vibe.
Soft Arts Club.
Your club believes vulnerability is the key to great music. Its doors are always open. This scripts emotional exhibitionism. Your listening history is not just a diary, it is a public therapy session, a performance of feeling.
This is Goffman's theater, fully automated. The platform provides the setting, the costume, and the character description. All you have to do is live a year of your life supplying the surveillance footage, and then this creates a new, uniquely modern neurosis. It's late November. You're listening to a song. Maybe it's a sugary pop hit because
What are you doing?
maybe it's the album your dad loved, and a voice, not your voice, the internalized voice of the algorithmic audience whispers,
Does this fit the narrative? Will this ruin my aura? If I stream this, will I look basic.
This is the November listening anxiety, the precursor of the December premiere. You're no longer just listening, you're curating evidence for your own trial. The childhood nostalgia binge, a data point that could brand you unchallenging, the deep dive into avant-garde jazz, a potential goldmine for cosmic stereo credibility. You start to shape your present private enjoyment to fit a future public data profile. You become a cynical performer. Goffman said,
The cynical performer knows they're acting and does it for reward.
you may not feel like a great collective rebel, but you understand that sharing that card projects a specific valuable image. You skip the pop song not because you hate it, but because it doesn't serve the character you're building for the algorithm. And what powers this self-discipline? It's the engine we saw in part 1, but digitized, the Panopticon. The band book was a physical tower. The Spotify rap ritual is the architecture of a digital Panopticon.
The Spotify wrapped ritual is the architecture of a digital Panopticon.
Foucault's genius was seeing that
Power is strongest when surveillance is unverifiable.
you never know if the guard is watching, so you must always act as if they are. You can't see the algorithm tracking your November skips, but you know with absolute certainty that it is. And you know its judgment, final, quantitative, and designed to be shared is coming. This creates a state of conscious and permanent visibility over your own taste. You're both the inmate and the guard of your own musical prison. The fear is no longer a handwritten slur.
It's the basic bitch label.
The algorithm issues a social death sentence. It means your data is
Generic, predictable, devoid of the distinction that is our new cultural capital.
and Wrapped makes that judgment instantly public. The potential for social shaming or envy is baked into its share button. And here we hit the profound weird heart of it. The club you're assigned is what philosopher Jean Baudrillard called a simulacrum.
A copy with no original. A map that replaces the territory.
The Soft Arts Club isn't a real place. It's a branded emotional aesthetic, but when you get it, it feels more real than your messy year of listening. It gives a coherent story.
You are vulnerable and open.
The map becomes more real than the land. The pleasure of getting cosmic stereo is the pleasure of being seen and validated by the machine. It's the platform whispering.
You've audited your soul and you're interesting.
The horror of a lame result is the horror of being miscategorized by the only authority that matters. So the performance loops back on itself. Knowing these archetypes exist, we start to curate towards them. We don't just express the self, we hack our data to generate a better simulacrum. We chase a better map, not a richer territory. Goffman knew this truth. Maintaining a front is exhausting. It requires constant vigilance. That collective sigh you hear every December, the rapt fatigue, the eye rolling at the uniform shares, that's the sound of a performative exhaustion. It's us culturally recognizing the cynicism of the game we're all playing.
We are longing for a backstage that no longer exists.
A place to listen to something without it counting.
To enjoy a song without it becoming a data point in a public identity portfolio.
We sort of are caught in the central paradox of digital authenticity. We perform realness for an algorithmic audience, and in doing so, we void it. We curate to prove we're not curating. We use a mass-produced template to express our uniqueness. The front stage has swallowed the green room.
And the performance of self has become a full-time data-driven occupation.
Part 3. The Hack.
If Mean Girls is a feudal monarchy, rigid, territory-based, ruled by a sovereign taste, then Do Revenge is its neoliberal digital successor. Welcome to the era of the algorithm, where identity isn't a castle to be defended, it's a dataset to be hacked. Reputation isn't decreed from a throne, it's a volatile stock price in the social market. And the currency isn't just cultural capital, it's a digital capital. The value of your curated persona, your performative virtue, your strategically managed data trail. The rules have been completely rewritten.
Rule number 1. Sovereignty is dead. Long live the network.
In North Shore, power was centralized. Regina's word was law. The band book was her royal ledger. Punishment was a public spectacle she orchestrated. At Rose Hill, power is distributed. It flows through the network, the group chats, the Instagram stories, the viral consensus. There's no single plastic. There's just the algorithm of cool.
A constantly updating formula that ranks you based on optics, associations, and data points.
It's governance by LinkedIn logic applied to high school. Our protagonists, Drea and Eleanor, aren't overthrown by a queen. They are cancelled by a code. Drea's ruin comes from a leaked private video, a corrupted file injected into the social mainframe. Eleanor's trauma stems from the falsified rumor, a piece of malicious code that branded her predatory. In both cases, a single data set goes viral. The network's logic takes over.
Copy, share, amplify. simplified.
Their real complex selves are completely overwritten by the digital simulation. This is Jean Baudrillard's nightmare.
The map replaces the territory.
The viral lie becomes the operational truth. They're not just slandered, they are computationally redefined, which brings us to the core survival skill of this new world, algorithmic literacy. And our master tutor is Eleanor. When Eleanor arrives at Rosehill, she's got corrupted data. Her files are a mess.
Awkward manner, weak aesthetic, a toxic rumor in her metadata.
She's not breaking the rules, she's just generating a low social credit score. Her partnership with Drea isn't a friendship, it's a joint venture in reputation hacking. Their goal, to rewrite the corrupt data. Watch Eleanor's transformation. This isn't Caddy's deep soul consuming assimilation into plasticity. This is a conscious surface level manipulation of signifiers. She's not just changing who she is, she's updating her user interface. She patches her aesthetic.
From vulnerable new girl to dark chic intellectual mystery.
She records her manner.
From meek to aloof and subtly intimidating.
She engineers social associations, leveraging Drea's residual capital, inserting herself into keysense. She is in essence running A/B tests on her identity, trying out new lines of code, monitoring the social feedback and optimizing the performance.
Her past self isn't erased, it's version controlled.
Identity isn't fade here, it's editable software. And if Eleanor is the hacker, then the film's villain, Max, is the programmer king. Max doesn't just play by the rules, he rules by curation.
He is the apex of performative wokeness, the perfect feminist boyfriend.
His public persona is a flawless, virtuous code designed to generate maximum social capital in an economy that trades progressive clout. But his private actions, that's the corrupt back end.
The toxic DMs, the gaslighting, the non-consensual leak.
His power lies in the disconnect between his public API and his private service. He knows that in an economy of optics, the perception of virtue is more available and more defensible than its practice. He sort of like weaponized the social language justice as a firewall. He's not a tyrant, he's a manipulative developer who's built an app called Perfect Max, and the user base, the whole school, is hooked. So what's the new banned book in the system? It's the cloud itself, the collective distributed memory of saved snapshots, screenshot archives, and group chat receipts.
Punishment is no longer exile by decree.
It's the algorithmic cancellation, a networked process where your social score gets voted down to 0. Drea and Eleanor's revenge is pure data warfare. They don't confront Max head-on, they expose the corruption between his datasets. They leak his private toxic messages into the public feed. It's a system crash. The flawless perfect Max app encounters a fatal error. The social network, following its own logic, executes the cancellation protocol.
Unfollows, unfriending, public shaming. He isn't defeated by a person. He's scraped by the system he gamed.
This might feel like a dark teen thriller, but swap the stakes for social survival to social capital, and you have your daily life. You have Spotify Rap. Think about it. The logic is identical. Rose Hill's social network equals Spotify's platform. Your yearly listening history equals your public data stream. The listening personality equals your public-facing branded persona. November's listening anxiety is you acting as Eleanor. You're hacking your own data inputs, skipping the guilty pleasures, diving into the deep cuts to optimize your December output. You're trying to generate a cooler archetype. And when you share that wrapped card, you're playing a little bit of Max. You're presenting a curated front-end version of your musical soul. You're showcasing the cosmic stereo club map, knowing the territory was messier. You're leveraging algorithmic capital for social credit. Those 2025 clubs aren't just fun, they're strategic endpoints. They are the branded trophies for a year of a successful data cultivation.
The hierarchy is no longer static.
It's a live leaderboard, and you're all simultaneously the player, the avatar, and the hackable data.
Part 4. The Hyperreal.
What happens when the map isn't just distorting the territory but replaces it completely? To answer that, we need our final guide, the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard. And his ideas don't just explain Spotify Wrapped, they explain the sinking feeling in your gut when you hear the term NPC. Baudrillard had a theory about how images relate to reality. He called it the 4 stages of the simulacrum. Think of it as the life cycle of a copy. Stage 1,
The reflection. The copy is a good mirror of something real. A portrait, a handwritten mixtape for a crush. It's faithful.
Stage 2,
The distortion. The copy starts to mask and twist reality. Think early algorithm radio. It takes your taste, codifies it into genes, and suddenly bans your future choices.
Stage 3.
The mask. The copy now hides the fact that there's nothing solid underneath. The Discover Weekly playlist. It gives you a thrilling sense of a unique musical you, but that you is just a shifting pattern of suggestion.
Stage 4. The pure simulacrum.
The copy has no origin, no reality it refers to. It is its own, free-floating truth. It operates in a world of pure reference to the other copies.
Spotify Wrapped is stage 4 phenomenon. It is the pure simulacrum. Think about what the Wrapped Club is. Cloud state society, grid collective. These are not reflections of your listening reality. That reality is a messy, contradictory private soup of moments. The reality is the album you played on loop during a breakdown, the kids' song streamed 500 times for your toddler, the pop hit you secretly love but only listen to in the car, the deep focused playlist that played silently while you actually scrolled on your phone. The Wrapped card does not care about this territory. It incinerates it. It takes the data exhaust from that reality, the streams, the skips, the timestamps, and generates a clean branded shareable map, a map that claims to be the territory, a personality generated by models of a person. This is what Baudrillard called hyperreality,
the generation by models of a real without origin.
Club serotonin.
Your club thrives on good vibes, but what if your year was not good vibes? What if you listen to happy music to escape sadness?
The simulation doesn't care. The hyperreal truth is now you're a good vibe person. Your messy reality is irrelevant. Soft Hearts Club.
Your club believes vulnerability is key.
It turns your private pain, your cathartic cries, into a public-facing aesthetic of vulnerability. It commodifies the feeling. The map of your vulnerability becomes more socially real than the vulnerability acts itself. This isn't insight, it's astrology powered by surveillance. And the most powerful part, we internalize the map. You get grid collective and you think,
hell yeah, I'm a rebel.
You get full charge crew and feel validated as a party icon. Or you get a result that feels off. Cloud state society.
But I was anxious all year and I feel misread.
Betrayed by the algorithm. Your emotional energy, your joy, your defiance, your insecurity is now spent in relation to the simulation.
The copy is telling you who you are.
And this is where we meet the NPC. In gaming, an NPC, a non-player character, is scripted, pre-programmed. It has a limited set of responses. It lacks true consciousness or agency. To be called an NPC online is the ultimate hyperreal insult.
It means your identity is seen as assembled from a kit of pre-fed parts. The right political takes, the trendy aesthetic, the correct niche music dictated by TikTok and Spotify algorithms.
Here's the devastating. We use Spotify Rap to prove we are not NPCs. We curate our data all year to show we have unique, complex, authentic taste.
Yet, the act of curating your life for an algorithmic audit is the most NPC behavior imaginable.
You're following a script written in a Stockholm data center. This script says,
for Cosmic Stereo Cloud, engage with cross-genre playlist, stream early, adopt macro genres.
Following that script to prove you're unique makes you a player character blindly obeying the game's deepest code. The pursuit of distinction has been algorithmized. Being basic is the fear that your data is too close to the mean, that you're a mass-produced character model. The Wrapped Club is your official NPC class designation handed to you by the game masters.
Cloud State Society is for the Zen NPCs. Great Collective for the Rebel NPCs.
It's not a revelation, it's a role assignment. Baudrillard said,
in a world of simulacra, we don't experience things directly anymore. We experience the anticipation of their reproduction. We don't take a vacation, we take photos for the Instagram post.
This is November listening anxiety at its deepest level. It's not just curating for others, it's that the music itself starts to feel secondary. You're listening to a song and a part of you is already seeing it as a future data point on your Wrapped map. You think,
this obscure B-side will look great next to my hyperpop discoveries. I'll show range.
The listening experience becomes an act of self-quotation. You are no longer just having an experience, you are composing the hyperreal of that experience in real time. The hyperreal map is being drawn as you walk, and it's changing the path you take. Music's value, the raw joy, the cathartic cry, the memory, gets swallowed by exchange value as personal data capital. You're trading your attention for a token you can later spend in the social capital marketplace.
So this is our destination. We've traveled from the feudal cafeteria of Mean Girls, where identity was an inheritance to protect, from the networked hack in Do Revenge, and where identity became editable code, to the hyperreal simulation of Spotify Wrapped, where identity is a self-referential simulacrum. The band book wrote a version of you to destroy you. Spotify Wrapped writes a version of you to define you. The cafeteria's walls are infinite, made of glass and reflected in a million mirrors. The hierarchy isn't just enforced by surveillance or hacking. It's enforced by yearning for a coherent self in a world that only offers branded copies. The question is no longer, are you popular or are you authentic? The hyperreal question is, when the map is this beautiful, this social, this definitive, why would you ever dare to look back at the territory again?